This week we are continuing our story on the Nunn family.
But William and Hannah had 11. There was George and Anna and Joshua, and according to this newspaper article, they had passed away before he did. And then there was Herbert, Jesse, John from Saskatchewan, Edwin from Iowa, Omar, Elizabeth, Percy, Nellie, that's 11. And Percy Nunn Family. She lived here in Detroit for a long time and married Family. And he still has relatives here in Detroit Lakes. But there isn't, I spent many a time here in the summertime. Here, I can't recall, whatever age it is when you're required to be that age when you take a life-saving lesson. I did that in Detroit Lakes here, and stayed with Aunt Percy and Uncle Bill. And they had one daughter, Marion. She was 5 years older than I, and most beautiful woman you ever met. And just 2 days ago, I talked to Bill Fankettle's nephew. I found him by dialing 411. Is there a Fankettle in Detroit Lakes? Yes. He's a retired Lutheran minister here. So he and his wife came down and we had breakfast together. But Aunt Percy and Uncle Bill were such social people. They were always pulling families together. And Bill was a barber, and he moved to he came to St. Paul and became a beauty operator. Just studied that. And he lived with us while he did that. And when I started college in St. Paul, as a gift, he gave me a permanent. I had very dark, curly hair. And with a permanent, then you have a dark, fuzzy hair. I couldn't get my comb through it for a long time. And as a freshman, I always had no trouble pinning the green bow on your hair. As a freshman, I could pin it anywhere and it stayed, because this wonderful permanent with a machine that has wires that come down to your head. That was Uncle Bill. Then he started other beauty parlors in Minnesota and went to Albert Lee. But that's Aunt Percy. I just discovered at the museum today, or yesterday when I was down at your Becker County Museum, reading the obituary of great-grandfather William, that he was a mortician. And that's what my grandfather was, a mortician. I never thought to question how did he become a mortician, but he must have learned it from his father. And then also they sold furniture. And that was the house that burned. And the story was when there was the fire was happening, I can't recall exactly when, at what period, but it was still possible for my grandmother, Maggie, as Margaret was called, went into the store because it was burning to save something in the furniture store. She came out with somebody's abandoned umbrella. And that's all she saved out of the furniture store. But that was in 1914, I think. This grandfather was amazing with his sense of humor. He would do cute things, and many times, no matter what was being said by anybody else, he would say, "Now that puts me in mind of a story," and off we would go. But the one that I recall most clearly was the fact that he said they had a big fair, and everybody was going to the fair, and there were big events under tents, and this huge tent was one he went to, and it cost 25 cents to go into the event in this huge tent. When he got in there, the only thing in this huge tent was one man sitting on a chair with a knife and a piece of wood. And he said, "Never whittle toward you," for 25 cents. I thought that was wise, because every once in a while now when I start to cut cheese or something, no, go that way, go this way. They always had, and I still have the jar, a vase. It's glass, about so. It's hollow. It's not really a vase. It's only about that high and about that big. And they always had pieces of celery, because after you finished dinner, you didn't leave the table. you chatted. And you could have celery to chew on while you were chatting. Pass the celery. And I think, actually, there was another dish based like that. It was the spoon holder. You didn't put spoons on the table. You just put them in this cut glass piece. If you needed a spoon, pass the spoons. Grandma Margaret was a sweet lady, and figure out, she had 5 children. Grandma had a child just 16 months before I was born. Her name is Margaret. Also, mine was Margaret Jeanette, hers was Margaret Ursula. So we were growing up together, an aunt and a niece playing together as little kids, and we became such close friends. I don't think they had anything in their life that was affluent. So she always had cookies, always. Many times I stayed there, and she always had cookies. It was the same sugar cookie, about this big, with 1 raisin or half a nut. Always the same cookie. So I'm sure she had other recipes, but I don't know where they were. But it was a joy to stay with Grandpa. I know one time later, when my brother was in the service, he was in the Coast Guard, and he came to visit. And at that time, he came to visit me in San Francisco. And I had a young pup. My famous, wonderful dog had died. So my husband at that time said, "Here, we'll get another pup." So I did, and of course the pup was really, I realized later, too young to be leaving his mother. So we took him with us, and this cute little black dog was about so big. And the minute we took it with us to Sacramento and to El Paso to see Grandpa Nunn and Grandma Margaret. And so I put the dog down, and immediately Grandpa jumped up on a chair and he said, "Didn't you know I was afraid of dogs?" Which was, I don't think, the truth. But he was laughing so hysterically about this little thing. It was barely able to walk. This pup was too small. But Grandpa was somebody that was taking care of everybody.
Join us next week as we continue to hear about Jesse Nunn and his cousin, G.C. Nunn.